Welcome to a new edition, a special edition, a worldwide edition of Monday Madness. We are all over the place today, people. We are in the UK, we are in New Zealand, and we are in the States with Michael Mead, Glenn B. Fleming, and Dave Houston. What's happening, y'all?
How's it going, Mike? Are you all right?
Yeah, good to be here.
We got the time. I think we all got the time right.
Winter's day in New Zealand. Yeah, we did.
Welcome to a special edition of Monday Madness. Now, this 5 o'clock start time is different from what we've done in the past, but similar to what we're going to do in the future. Because from now on, going forward, I'm going to start the show at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and do a show that everybody sees, that the people where Michael lives see, the people where Glenn and Dave live see, and the people in the States see. So I'm going to change the time of the Monday Madness show to 4 p.m. Eastern. But we will always still be able to do things like after hours, it's not like Monday Madness gonna go away. It's just I feel like I'm missing part of the audience by not going earlier in the day.
Right. So what time? Sorry, what time is it where you are, Pops? Now
it is
5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. Yeah. What time is it where you are, Michael?
5 o'clock on Monday.
Yeah.
It's 9 a.m. Tuesday in Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Tuesday where Michael is that cool or what?
So Dave and I are actually talking to the past and the future.
Yes.
Wow. At the same time.
That's right.
At the same time. How good is that? Who needs a TARDIS?
That's right. This is
we're actually in the middle. We're in the middle of a comic book right now. Is what we're doing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I like it. That's pretty cool. We got people in the future. We got people in the past. Well, I guess I'm the one the most in the past, but
no, we're all in the. But the scary thing is that we're all in the present, aren't we? We're all in our own present.
We are.
Time's an illusion, like Douglas Adams said.
Realities. It's all alternate reality. You're in yours. I'm in mine. See, a lot of things people don't understand is because of the way we all perceive things different. Everybody's perception is an alternate reality.
Yeah.
I feel very alternate today, actually.
Oh, sure.
Oh, here we go.
Talk amongst yourselves.
That's the pizza call. That's the pizza's coming. Pizza's coming.
Yeah.
Right, I'll take over. Dave, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Dave, and Glenn kindly invited me on again this evening. I've been reading and collecting comics for the best part of 50 years. You can see some of them behind me. And basically just a fan of all things comics. But I don't do any creating and I don't do any writing, but I do enjoy what other people do.
You did that colouring, though, that you showed us the other week.
I did.
We should do more of that, yeah. Should do more of that.
Yeah, I shall have to dig some more out, Glenn.
Yeah, but do that for next time, yeah. Yes, Michael, over to you. Introduce yourself, Mike.
So, like Dave, I've been collecting comics for 50 years, which is quite sobering, really. But I started off with Aussie comics like this, which is Australian reprints of Disney's, because we never got the original US editions until probably about 1978.
Wow.
And then I followed up with these sort of Australian DC reprints.
Right.
Which are Planet Comics, which actually they're produced by KG Murray, this Australian company, and they did code the UK as well from the 50s and 60s and so on. But I think in the UK, you guys got a lot of original Marvel and DC distribution, which we didn't get.
Yeah.
But there's still a big market in the UK for these KG Murrays. This is a 70s one. This is an Aussie reprint. That's what we got instead of DC's. But in the
put that back up there.
What's that?
Put that back up there where you can see it.
Okay, there we are. Yep. So yeah, this is all we got in terms of DC. It was really spasmodic. until comic shops came in about, in New Zealand, it was about 1982. And then we started getting all the original DCs. All the Marvels came here, but for some reason, that was just the deal I had. But yeah, so I got into comics, the Disney, DC Mad, then I got into alternative stuff like Love and Rockets and Yummy Fair and all that good stuff, Hate and Neat Stuff, Peter Bagge, the whole Fantagraphic stuff, which I still get. And then I started writing about comics for a printed fanzine that we did called Collector's Item way back in 1990 when we were like, 20 something. And then there was then life took over. I met a woman, I got married, I had a kid, had a mortgage and stuff. And it's only now, really, as I enter my mid-50s, that I've got back to writing about comics again. And I started doing that on my occasional murmurings.blogspot.com. And that's where Glenn found me. And now I'm being published in Glenn's magazine called Comics Unlimited, which is a real thrill for me because I think print, even though we're so focused on electronic, I think print for me is what you hold in your hand. That's the tactile thing. And that's what I think comics really are. That's what
I got to give a shout out to this guy here, this guy in the comments. It's a good friend of mine, local right here, just had major surgery on his back and neck, and he just yesterday walked down a flight of stairs for the first time in months.
Brilliant.
Right on, good. Scotty, dude.
Wow.
Good. On, dude.
Yeah.
Keep working at it, bro, and somehow we'll get to see each other again. It's been a while. I know. I don't get out, but
we'll all get out one day, one way or the
other. We'll figure something out, man. Sure.
Some of us might not have as long as others. I don't know.
It's been pretty crazy. We all do what we can do, though.
Yeah, we all do that.
Yeah,
we all do that.
Oh, Varian's trying to talk to. See, everybody's trying to talk to me right now. Everybody don't know I'm live.
They won't know unless you
I'm
tell
live
them.
right now. I can't talk to you. To you. Leave me alone.
Yeah,
it's like my phone's ringing. People are hitting me up.
Just say to them, no, I cannot give you free comic books right now. Later, yes, but not now.
No, actually, that's the guy that the comic that I unboxed earlier today that I won.
Oh wow!
I won from Varian from
oh really?
And it's Seth the Bear's Femme Finale, a Baron Merrill, and it just got here today, but now Varian's trying to talk to me, and it's like, dude, I'm live, bro.
I don't think I bought a comic book for about 30 years. That's an admission, isn't it? I think the last comic books, the last comic books I bought was Watchmen and the Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Dave might know this one. The Spider-Man where he's buried in the grave and Craven Hunter. That one.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I think that's the last. That's the last ones I got. And I look at them when I go. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I went through a period maybe from 2000 to 2015 where I wasn't buying many new comics and it was mostly back issues. But then my son started getting interested in them, so I started buying all the sort of DCs again. And it's been. When you have a kid who does that, it doesn't always happen, of course, but it's now we're getting like all the issues of the Flash, like all the new ones. I'm trying to go right back as far as I can go, right back to 1960. I can't afford those, but trying to get that run. And we like the TV show, so sometimes things come into your life which reinvigorate you for new stuff. But as you say, like it's the old stuff that really pulls at my heart and my mind and stuff like that. So that's the stuff I really want.
Yeah, I should say that I have been or was buying those the essentials, the black and white reprints. But when I say I've not bought any, I've not bought any new ones, because I go to the shop. I go to the shop and flick through them, and all I see is just not very well drawn, badly written stories. Well, that's just me.
Yeah.
What's this?
Yeah, no. Hey,
sparkling shine.
Shine can throw stars. And has a sun blast, and Sparkle can throw moons and can blast sparkles.
Oh, wow.
Very good.
Over here, that's her creation. Y'all don't be trying to steal that shit, right?
No.
Sorry.
We signed the copyright notice, Potts. We signed the copyright notice. Anything that's said on the show belongs to the person who said it, so no one's stealing anything.
I get that all the time. They'll bring me characters that they create. And I love it. I'm glad that they're involved. I really am.
Well, back in the 60s, I used to draw Spider-Man's head and the Hulk's head on my friends' hands and things for a penny. And I used to make a small fortune. And one of the teachers found out, because what would happen was they'd obviously wash their hands at some point, maybe in the day, and they would wash off because I'd do them in biro. And I charged them a penny, so I'd get a couple of shillings a day, and it all helps to buy marbles and stuff like that. And then when they were washed off, they'd come back and have me do it again for another penny. And I saw as a bit of an entrepreneur, this is age 12. And then the teacher came along and told me I couldn't do it anymore because it was wrong. And I thought,
really?
even when I was 12, I thought, how can it be wrong? Because they're getting what they want, and I'm getting what I want. How can that be wrong? I think I should have cut him in on the deal. Maybe it would have kept going if that had happened.
Hey, how do you use the screen to see everyone who's speaking? Because somehow I seem to go.
I think that's up to Pops. He's turned
upside down.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I didn't feel that. I got people in my inbox still. What can I tell you?
He never pays attention.
I'm trying to schedule prom-con, man. I got people.
The only time he pays attention is when I don't turn up because I get the time wrong.
We know that would never happen. That would never happen. So I don't know what you're saying.
No.
You know what's even worse is that Glenn got me so flustered that day that I went and screwed up a time slot in a show I was supposed to be on.
Glenn brings the chaos. He's chaos.
It's all prom, I'm telling you. It's that little troll, man. That little troll is everywhere. That guy up in the corner over there, over Glenn's head, that guy. He's everywhere, man. He just messes with everything.
Outside.
I was just thinking as Glenn was saying that, I was thinking, and this is something I've been thinking about recently, have attitudes to comics changed that much? Like when you're a kid, and Glenn's a kid in the 60s and I'm a kid in the 70s, and teachers take comics away from you and they strap you on the wrist with a ruler or a strap, which is what they used to do in New Zealand. And yet I met a guy who's maybe 10 years younger than me, 30 or something, and he said that when he was at school, the teachers were different, his friends accepted his comic reading habits, they didn't see they were juvenile and so on. And I kind of wanted to test that with this group and say, do you think attitudes to the comics art form and people who collect and read comics have really changed that much, or is it just one person's experience? What do you think of that?
Well, when I was a kid, when I was in the 60s with Dave, I think there was only me and a friend of mine used to buy comics, the American comics. Certainly, my brothers and other friends used to read the Beano and things like that. But I was never really into those. I didn't. I don't like that kind of cartooning. That's why Marvel was such a revelation to me, because the artwork and all the things like that. And being an artist as well, I was drawing that, copying that. But the teacher, we had a teacher, English teacher called Mr. Warm, and he came up to me. He came up to me in the schoolyard one day, and he said, "What have you got there?" And it was Spider-Man, and I just bought it that morning. I think it was issue 47. It's got the lizard on the front, and it's a yellow cover. I always remember it's a yellow cover with the lizard on the front. Dave knows which one I mean, don't you, Dave?
I think I do. I'll go and find it.
John Romita. I think it's number 47 or 45. And he asked me what it was, and I showed him, and he said, "Can I borrow it?" And kids in those days were a bit. We didn't answer back so much and say no so much to adults, so I just said yeah. And I didn't see it for 3 weeks. I just bought it that morning, and I didn't see it for 3 weeks. Didn't see it for 3 weeks, and I had to ask him for it back. And when he gave it me back, he'd folded it in half. And all my comics were pristine. I used to get them pristine. I'd read them and then put them away, and it was folded in half. And I had to buy another copy.
Oh my god!
Because I couldn't have this creased one. But as for kids today, I think they're too. I don't know, but I would imagine they're too busy on the social media to bother with comics and things like that. Which I think is why the comics are drying up, aren't they? I might be wrong.
Well, I mean, some of the youngsters use the webtoons. I mean, that's where a lot of the teenage comic fans are going to get their digital fix. I mean, I try to keep the grandkids interested in the actual books. They got a box full, and they're always drawing and wanting to read.
But it's like Mike said, you want to hold it. You want to see it, and this is a big thing that I always get into about drawing comics on the computer. I use a pencil and a piece of artboard and an eraser and use coloured ink. And at the end of it, I've got a lovely piece. Well, I say I've done it, but I've got a piece of artwork.
Yeah.
And when you've done it on a computer, you've got nothing. And if the electricity breaks down, I've still got my pencil.
See, that's what I say about reading. The power goes out.
That's it.
You ain't got digitals. You ain't got lights. You know, it's like you get a candle and you get in your box of comics and you find some. You sit there by candlelight.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. When kids like to draw, don't they? Thanks, Dave. That's the one. What issue is it? Was it 45?
No, it was 40. Hang on a minute.
47, or is it?
I'll just check again.
Yeah, kids just like to draw, though, don't they? They like to pick things up and draw. So I can't imagine a child ever going to a computer when it's 4 years old and turning it on and drawing on it. I really can't see that. It probably happens already.
Yeah, no, I was just looking at that cover that you mentioned, Glenn, that Dave held up, and just the pop of that, like, no pun intended, pops, but just like when you're at the newsstand at whatever era, particularly 60s and 70s, and you see that on the newsstand, it just comes right out at you.
Yeah.
Like I was at I know a collector. He lives up the road from me, and he's got an entire barn full of comic books. You might have seen the pictures. And he's got a whole walls and walls and walls, just like Pops has, of these old issues. And there's something about the art and the care in those issues, and the impact of them. I don't know if it's nostalgia or not, but I just look at today's comics and they just seem so processed and so deliberate. They don't seem organic and natural, and they just don't seem to have the same emotional, suddenly I'm in that story kind of feel to them. It just seems very commercial, despite the best intentions. Oh, what do you guys?
This one here.
Oh yeah.
This is from 1965. Yeah. This is the actual copy that I bought. So it's all a bit tatty and a bit falling apart.
Yeah.
And I've got things like this. The original one from 1971.
Very nice.
And
Fourth Wheel is my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll show you this one that you'll wish you had when I find it. See this one? See that one?
Oh.
Yeah, I've got that. Yeah.
But watch this cover now and let's see what's at the bottom of it. Watch this.
Autograph.
Yes. No, I don't have that.
Signed by the man himself in his house.
Very nice.
Is that when you went to see him in '88? Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And this one here is the actual copy my brother brought home that got me into all this. And that's the first one I ever saw. Nice. It's all falling apart. Look.
Wow.
But it's been read. I can never work out why these people slab them and things like that. I think you should just enjoy it, because I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave it for anybody else. I want to enjoy it. But that's what 56 years old, getting on.
Yeah.
It was the first time I got Jack Kirby, even though he's only on layouts, because John Severin did the artwork. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
It's amazing, isn't it?
And I've still got it's all falling apart.
There's something about it's well loved. There's something about the way I was just looking at that. There's something about the way Kirby draws technology, which is kind of otherworldly. It kind of suddenly you think, oh, it's an alien landscape, or it's something futuristic. Just the way he drew it, it just has a different quality than other artists of the time, and it's half a century ago as well. No, he's
way ahead of his time.
I think this is why I think when I got into doing blogs, I thought, what would I actually start with? And I started with the Fourth World because of so many things in there, not only his art, but the kind of ideas that he was getting into, which were way in advance of, any 5-year-old or 8-year-old or 12-year-old who was reading them. But like as a child, I was frightened by Kirby's comics. I couldn't work out what was going on. There were nightmares, there were monsters, and all these huge ideas which I didn't understand. And now, 50 years later, when I go back, I just see all the symbolism that is in there and how he's communicating with the culture, and just the gorgeousness of his art as well, and how good a writer he was. Much better than Stan Lee, in my opinion, in terms of writing ability, not only the text writing, but what I would call the art writing, the story writing, the breaking down of the story. So like such a rewarding person. And so I'm getting, all the issues of Jack Kirby Collector and all that sort of stuff and reading all the stuff that Glenn and the boys write just to sort of get more into him. It's a great journey. I know you guys have probably already done it.
Well, that's sort of
catching up to you guys. I mean,
sort of envy you in a way, because you're sort of discovering it again. It'd be nice to sort of have some kind of some tap in your brain where you could turn it off for a week and forget, and then discover them all again. It'd be fantastic, wouldn't it? And if that happened, David would wake up and say, "What the hell are all? What the hell is all this stuff here?"
That piece I wrote for you for the Silver Age special, I think somehow you can do that, because those early 60s comics, I wrote a piece for Glenn about, I think it's the second meeting between Flash and Green Lantern in the Flash, 1962 or whatever. And the innocence of the characters and the way that story is told, somehow the effect it had on me was that I forgot all that I knew about those characters and I refound them again. Just because it was so innocent. There's no continuity. They're just writing one issue for some kid that picks it up, and they never expect that kid to come back to the newsstand. It just had a quality that recreated a sense of discovery there. And I think that's why those Silver Age comics are so special and so different to the ones now, because there was an invitation there that you could get in. Whereas now it's like, far out. How the hell are you ever going to get into these things? Fuck knows. Like you've got sorry with the French. You've got so many barriers to entry. But when they're just 8-year-olds, wow, special quality.
I was wrong before, because you can go back to being in awe of it, because I do that with the comics, and I also do it with Jerry Anderson stuff, Thunderbirds. And Dave's probably the same. And every few weeks I'll go on YouTube and I'll play the Fireflash landing with Virgil with his little running machines and the lift port wing and all that, and it just it don't kill me, but I'm 10 again, 11 when and it's just it's absolutely wonderful, and the music's all in there, and the music all ties it in, and it's the same with, I was talking to my wife about this a few weeks ago, how things change. But when you watch when you watch Sean Connery being Bond, and the music, John Barry's music, it all fits together, doesn't it? And it makes it exciting. And that's what, who was the guy who, was it Barry Gray, Dave, who wrote Thunderbirds? It wasn't it?
Yes, it was. He did all the music.
Barry Gray.
I did. Thank you.
And it makes you, it's emotional, and it
absolutely
fits with it. And but I don't see that in today's films. You're doing some things, you get the odd one, but it's like a separate thing. Now do you understand what I mean? They're not sort of working towards the same end.
I think you know what? I think it's in that 60s stuff, that Silver Age period, which would include, TV Century 21 and all those magazines which came before my time, but I've, thanks to Glenn sending me some files, I'll be able to look at them. There's an authenticity in the creation of them, a whole child's world thing. It isn't self-aware adults putting innuendo for the parents going there, or all kinds of reminders of the real world. It's completely child's world. That's why it's good. So many comics today are all designed to sell a next movie or to get another DVD or to, San Diego Con is just
number one.
Look at that! Wow, amazing. Just send that to me, Dave, in New Zealand. If you could send it over, that'd be fantastic. But look at that, and compare it to Comic on the Stand now. It's a different world, and we've lost something because people aren't thinking about just kids anymore. It's too self-aware. It's too commercial, and we're lucky.
Oh, Ron Embleton! Look at that, Ron Embleton artwork.
Oh God, look at the size of that. Can you imagine a comic being produced at that size today? Wouldn't happen.
No,
wouldn't sell.
I saw some original artwork of Ron Embleton's when he did Stingray. That series, I saw some original artwork only about 10 years ago, and it was the inks were so vibrant even then, and the artwork was 50 years old, 40 years old, and it was just beautiful stuff, just beautiful, all hand painted, all on one big piece of board. He'd be given 17 panels or something to work out the plot of the story, and he'd put that down. But the best one, I'd love to own some Frank Bellamy artwork. He's really fun with those, didn't he?
Yeah,
and Mike Noble and people like that, just absolutely beautiful stuff.
Just as Dave is holding that up, it's like, as you were saying, Glenn, the print quality, the paper, the metal plates as opposed to plastic plates or digital now.
Yeah, that's
even though that they were making children's entertainment, there was a kind of old world care about children to make it the best. Yeah, there isn't anymore.
They were giving you quality.
Processed crap. You know, they wanted to give kids quality because they cared about kids in the kind of old 60s patrician way. But like, look at the quality of that. And then something that I would have picked up as a DC in the 70s, plastic plates. Look at that. Look at the size of it. The size of it.
Yeah.
That's
why they did it that way. Did it as a newspaper, didn't they?
Yeah, like your parents would get a broadsheet. Yeah, like the Telegraph or the Times or something.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah,
but it's quality. It's like all the TV programs as well. The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and the Outer Limits and Bewitched and stuff like that. It was just quality TV. My Favorite Martian and all these kind of stuff. Look at that, Mike Noble. Look at that. Oh, look at that. All hand painted. How good is that?
That's amazing.
I actually managed to get Mike to sign this for me.
Oh, yeah, to see it. Oh my God. Bloody hell. Shame you didn't get him to draw it for you.
Yeah. But he signed it for me.
Fantastic.
I just see party at Dave's house in my mind. I'm just putting that out there.
Listen,
we've talked about going there and getting lost more than once.
I'm going to say,
I wouldn't be coming out of there. I'm just saying I wouldn't be coming out of there.
Well, you wouldn't be able to get in. I've been there. You can't get in. You get in, you get your cup of tea, piece of toast, and you just sit there and just look at it and think, where the hell am I going to start with this lot? And you don't, because there's that much. You don't. We can see that's one corner. That's
one
upstairs. That's upstairs, isn't it, Dave?
It is.
You want to see the? Look at this.
It's just one room. Is there a downstairs as well? Or?
Yeah. Oh, there's more.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Dave, do you have a sprinkler system or a burglar alarm, or you have security guard, or like what kind of systems have you got, Dave? And if you haven't, are you thinking about them?
Tell him you got good insurance.
No.
He's in a nuclear bunker.
That's what you got.
Oh.
Yeah, he's in a nuclear bunker, aren't you, Dave?
I am actually.
There's nowhere for any food, but he's got plenty of comics.
Yeah.
Right now, Dave is under Westminster to carry on the government if Boris fails. Yeah.
Ooh, I've got that issue. I've got that one.
You got that one.
Is that X-Men 3? Is it?
Yeah.
I know two collectors in New Zealand who the only issues of X-Men they need are issue 1 and 3, and they're the hardest to get. So they'll be very jealous of this.
Wow.
Right.
It's a nice condition as well. Is that the original one, or did you buy that later on?
I bought this one on a market in my hometown of Preston.
Okay.
About 30 years ago.
Oh wow!
And I think I paid about £5 for it.
I got mine for £1. It was in a box. It was in a box of sort of mixture, a mix and match thing. And I was going through it, just pulling a few out, and they were all £1 or 50p. And that one was in there, and I knew that was worth at least £1.50. So I just got a couple of other issues and put it with it. I wasn't impressed with it. I didn't go, wow, you got it, because I I think I went round the corner and the same one was 170 quid or something. This is 15, 20 years ago. I don't know what it would be costing now, but
well, it's at least I think what condition's that in, Dave? Is it VG or?
I'm not sure. It's got a bit of. Just have another look at it. It's got a bit of wear around down the side.
Oh yeah. So it's probably.
What?
And it's a 9. It's a 9D one as well. So it's
Okay.
English.
Does it make it lesser in the collector's market if it's a British copy versus it's a US copy, or?
Yeah, so it's an American copy with just a British price on it.
Okay. I think X-Men 3 is $6,000 or something in mint or something.
Is it?
Or something crazy, something crazy like that. Yeah, it's.
I think I'll have to sell it then, won't I?
Or just give it to me, Glenn.
I could give it to you, but I probably won't.
You want money for it? What are we?
How much would New Gods #1 be signed by Jack Kirby? Do you think?
I think I bought a copy of New Gods #1 because I was collecting all the Kirby stuff, and it was only G+, and it would cost me $130 US. So I think a mint copy would be $600 US.
That's far from mint. Far from mint.
Yeah, but I mean, I think all these things are driven by movies. So when the New Gods movie was going to happen with Tom King doing the script and stuff, and now it's shelved, all the prices went up just for the #1s. Forever People 1, New Gods 1, Mr. Miracle 1. But I think it's still. I mean, even the condition you've got it, it might be $100 US, I guess, because it's about the same as mine because the cover's falling off, right? Or
yeah, it's falling
off. Yeah.
See,
I mean, the Kirby signature, and it's real. It's not fake, so it's real. So it's probably going to be.
Well, I've got a photograph of myself standing next to him, shaking his hand, so maybe that's proof enough. So
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's the point.
But I've got a few other things as well. What's this one?
Oh, what's that, Dave?
Oh, look at that! Beautiful.
What number is that?
That's number 5.
5, yeah.
Somebody shoot that little troll for me, okay?
Gorgeous.
Yeah, that's number 5. That one.
What are you saying, Pops?
I said, somebody shoot that little troll for me, okay?
On the comic book, or?
No, the one that keeps kicking me out and changing stuff in my stream, and
I don't know.
that little green guy that I was talking about up there in the corner over there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that guy. Oh yeah, him. Yeah.
Dude, he's always messing with our show. See, he knows. I accidentally started an auction stream. I don't even know what the hell.
Strange Tales. Yeah. Oh, that's nice. That's nice condition there, Glenn. That's pretty good. That's fine, very fine, man. Yeah.
That's quite good. That's really good condition. That one, really.
It is.
It's what? It's January *66.
Yeah.
See, I hang out with you guys. I can't even pull books out. I can pull books out when I hang out with some people, but I can't even pull books out when I hang out with you guys. Like, no.
Just get those grandkids to pull them out for you and bring them to you.
No, I mean, I don't have anything that can compare to this shit that these guys do.
What do you reckon? What do you reckon? All the Fourth World full series might be worth. 1, 2, whatever of New Gods and Forever People.
There are some. There's some, as usual. There's some that are more expensive than others, but I think the #1 issues were like between $100 US and $600 US in mint, and then for some of them, there were a few others, like the first appearance of Big Barda, which was Mr. Miracle 4, was worth more. The Funky Flashman parody of Stan Lee and Roy Thomas was worth more or something. But I think my theory about this is if it's a Marvel movie, then because Marvel is more popular than DC and their movies are better, even though I like DC movies as well, those comics pop. As soon as it's announced that there's a character in a movie, that appearance just goes through the roof. Yeah. And it doesn't matter about the quality of the comic book because some of the comics are bad, but like so when DC's New Gods was announced, I thought, oh, crikey, I want to write about these. I better get them all because otherwise I'm not going to be able to afford them. But even as I was doing it, and it took me a few months, the price didn't really move. But if it was Marvel, like Moon Knight's coming out, right, on Netflix. The first appearance of, what is it, Marvel Spotlight, it's like $3,000 or something.
Wow.
You know, and it's not a very good comic book. It's Don Perlin, you know. It's like he's okay. He's okay, but he's not Jack Kirby. You know, he's not Neil Adams or whatever. But like that's what's happening now. And I think that it's what's happened to the back issue market now is it's the most intense it's been, I think, in the last 20 years. As soon as those movies started popping in the last 5 years for Marvels, man, you're paying big money. You guys are lucky because you collected them at the time. But if I wanted to go back and get Kirby Fantastic Four, I might have to remortgage the house or something. Find a benefactor, or you know.
Well, I think Dave and
DC much cheaper for DC. You know?
Right, I think Dave and Pops have heard this story, but I'm sure a lot of people, it applies to a lot of people. I had Fantastic Four #1 through 227, Spider-Man 1 to 150 or whatever it was, and then all these Strange Tales things. I had all the X-Men, all the Avengers. And when I was 16, they were all under my bed. There were 600. I had 600 Marvel comics under my bed.
Yeah.
And my mum said to me, "Right, you're 16 now. These comics are in the way." And I thought, how can they be in the way when they're under the bed? And she said, "Get rid of them."
Why is it the mothers?
So I got rid of them. How much is Fantastic Four #1 worth now?
I think it's probably in the order of like $10,000 or something.
Well, there you go.
Or something like that.
But so.
Yeah, no, I was about 8 or 9, and my mother said to get rid of all my comics. So like I gave her some, but I hid the rest. But they're only like these, they were like Aussie Disney comics or whatever. But I think she's from a generation, and I showed her comics later on, and she could appreciate that the content had become more adult, and comics are winning Pulitzer Prizes and stuff. But she couldn't process the form. She's all prose, English degree. She couldn't understand how to relate the pictures to the words in her mind, in her head. She couldn't follow where to put her eye. So I think that's a generational difference. And if you can't understand something, where do you go in terms of judgment? You go to prejudice or something you've read in the media. You don't have a direct source to make your own opinion because you can't understand it. So I had to work hard with her to kind of educate her on the form of comics so she could relate to the content of comics, two different things. That took a while. So then she allowed me to keep some. But like you, I lost a lot of stuff. And it's like my story that I've told people is a bit like yours, Glenn, is that I bought giant size X-Men #2 or 1, whatever, the first new X-Men, right? The one with Cyclops and all that sort of stuff, Len Wein, Len Ren. I bought it. And then my mother made me get rid of it. And now it's $3,000 US. I mean,
yeah.
Wow.
I can only afford a facsimile.
Oh.
So,
I read somewhere a while back, probably about 30 years ago, that when Siegel and Schuster were doing Superman in 1938-39, if any kid wrote in and said, "Oh, I really like the issue, really like Superman," they used to send them original art. So they probably sent somebody the cover for Superman #1 as a thank you for saying you like my stuff. Could you imagine? I'm sure you could. Could you imagine writing to Stan? Could you imagine writing to Stan Lee?
A little kid and not even realizing that's a piece of original art, just like scribbling all over it, not even
colouring it in. Could you imagine writing to Stan Lee in 1963 and saying, "Really like the Fantastic Four," and he sent you the cover of #1?
Oh.
And he probably got that in his own garage at that point, hadn't he? But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would be amazing, wouldn't it? Oh, I'll tell you something else as well. Do you know Phil Clark, Dave, who runs Nostalgia and Comics in Birmingham? Have you heard of him?
I think I've heard of the name, but that's about it.
Well, he it must be about 20 years ago now, he got a call. He lives in Birmingham, which is about, how far is Birmingham from London, Dave? About 100 miles?
Yeah, something like that.
He lives about 100 miles from London, Pops, and he got a call from this guy who was working, I think it was IPC or Fleetway or whichever it was down there. And he said, they're getting rid of a load of art, they're throwing it away, come down and get it. And he got a van full of art. And he told me he couldn't believe it. He could take as much as he could fit in his van, right? And he got a ton of stuff, and he still got tons of it now, and he sells it at conventions. But he said that he went down with his pal, and as they were taking this stuff out of the archive and putting it in the van, he stubbed his toe. There was a piece of board jamming the door open, and he stubbed his toe in it, and he kicked it out, and he stubbed his toe, and he picked it up, and he unfolded it, and it was a piece of Dan Dare artwork by what's he called?
Frank Hampson.
Frank Hampson, yeah.
Yeah.
Folded up and made into a door jamb. Original artwork of Frank Hampson, of Dan Dare from 1959 or something. And he thought, fucking hell, what is this? He didn't tell anybody what it was. He just put it in the pile and took it. I don't know what he's done with it. I presume he sold it. I don't know. But he's got a ton of stuff. He got all the stuff from Looking magazine and
how did he get this start? The dentist was ringing me. How did he get all this stuff? Did he just go to
yeah, it was a friend of mine, Phil Clark. He has a comic shop in Birmingham, and he knows people in the business. And he got a call from somebody at IPC Fleetway one day about 20 years ago, saying they were moving building and they were throwing away all the artwork to get down there, and he could just have it. And he went down, and he filled a van full of it, and that's when he stood.
How does this happen? It's like the company has no consciousness of the whole collector market and all the readers writing in. I mean, how does that happen?
Well, it's called Dog in the Manger, isn't it? Because I read the book about Frank Hampson, which I've never been able to read, The Man Who Drew Tomorrow. I've never been able to read it again because it's so upsetting. But when they were moving offices, he hand painted all that artwork, as you know, from the 50s.
Yeah.
And when they were moving buildings again, in fact, they didn't tell him. He just found out they're moving buildings, and he said, "What are you doing with the artwork?" And the guy said, "We're just going to put it in a skip." And he said, "Well, I'm here. It's my artwork. Can I just take it?" And he said, "No." He said, "No," and they threw it away.
Oh God!
He didn't want it, but he wasn't going to let him have it, so he threw it all away. All that original artwork from Eagle.
That's a crime. That's just a crime.
That's a crime. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. You know, but as you were saying before about the way kids are with it now and the medium, comics medium, it's still such a throwaway thing. You know, and I suppose it's like books in a way, or to more of an extent. But people don't read, do they? Like we were saying before, they don't read. They don't. I read loads of books. I've read nearly 1,000 books. I like reading. I love reading.
Yeah.
But people don't seem to read. You know, and I just, you know, I have a stepdaughter. She'd never read a book in her life. I don't think she knew what a book was.
Yeah, no, I there's a guy on my basketball team, and this is maybe 10 years ago, and I said, only 5 years ago, I said, I said, do you need a lift to the game? And he said, yeah. And I said, okay, I'll meet you at the library. And he said, where's the library? He's like, it was like 25, and I was like, sorry, are you having me on? And he goes,
Jesus.
No, I don't know where it is.
That's terrible. I'm fancying.
I couldn't process it. So I had to describe to him where the library is and pick him up in my car. We went to the game. I was like, what?
When many moons ago, this is what, in the mid 70s, when I was researching JFK assassination, I used to go into Manchester Library. It's one of the biggest libraries in England, and you had to fill in this docket, and you had to ask which book you wanted. Well, the Warren report. I was researching the Warren report, the official version of the shooting.
Yeah.
And I've read the Warren report, which is 1,000 pages, and I've read the 26 volumes of evidence as well. So it's took me a while to get through all that. But one day I used to go all day Saturday for 2 years. Every Saturday I was there reading this stuff. Anyway, one of the first times I went down there, I wanted volume 24 because I wanted to read this guy's testimony, because that's what the volumes of evidence is. It's all the testimony and exhibits and things like that. And the report is like the summary. So I wanted volume 24 because I wanted to read this police officer's account, and I forgot to write volume 24. So they brought me all of them 26 volumes. And these girls were giggling because they thought, they could hear them laughing. I looked round and they were coming with this. They had like a trolley with all these books on, and they thought this was really funny because I was an idiot because I'd ordered them all.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, so I was skipping around all these volumes and going there and going there, not having to ask them to get them, which takes 15 minutes, because those are the people there. And I was in heaven, absolutely brilliant. So libraries. Let's go under that paw of the Sphinx and get the copy of the Alexandria Library out into the open.
I think what's happened is, like, with the internet and global TV and suddenly all these plethora of entertainment channels, like, we get so distracted, and there's so much other stuff we could be doing that when you make a choice to do one thing, you're not doing 8 other things. Whereas when I was a kid in New Zealand, there was one television channel in 1975. It was black and white. You got what you were given, just like your dinner from your mother. And when the kids programs were between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock, and that was it. Yeah. And what do you do then? Yeah. Well, you have to read a book, or go and play sport, or read a comic book or something.
Climb a tree.
And now, like, when you read comics now, they read far too much like movie scripts because they realize the attention span of the reader is so short.
Yeah.
Like, there's no thought balloons. There's no exposition. It's just like reading, and a lot of comics artists do this. They do storyboards. It's just like reading a storyboard. And like, if I wanted to read a storyboard, I go and buy a book of a storyboard. I want to read a comic book. Whereas we've lost some comic syntax. We've lost some of the comics language. And if they don't look like any different than a movie script, where is the unique offering?
And I also think, I also think that the thing with the characters, I've noticed that they're all thrusting breasts and all this kind of thing, and it's just the pin-ups and they're not characters anymore. But I'll tell you, my stepdaughter, she was about 14 and she was doing her homework, and she said to me, "Where's Peru?" And I said, "You don't know where Peru is?" And she said, "No." So I told her where it was. I got a map and I showed her. And I said, "What would you do, Lisa, if an alien landed and said, 'Where's Peru?'" And she said, "I'd send him to you."
Perfect. That's the answer. Yeah, that's the answer.
But what I used to do when I was her age, if we had anything in homework that, like Egypt or somewhere like that, or Romania or Australia, whatever it was, I would go and find it on a map, and then I'd find what was next to it. Australia. If you go up from Australia, you come to Indonesia and Japan, and then you go up to in China. Then if you turn left as you look at it, you're in Russia or the Soviet Union as it was then. And then you go to Africa, and you think, "Oh, there's Mauritius. Oh, that's where Cuba is." I used to do that's the way I used to work around.
Yeah.
But I don't. That's just me. I don't know. I don't think whether that's a common thing, but nobody knows. The people. I think. I was just thinking before when you mentioned television. I think what's happened is that we've got this fantastic thing, the television, which is now sort of morphed into the internet type of thing, and it's misused, and people are lazy. When we were kids, you had to seek things out, but now it's just there if you want it, and because it's there all the time, 24/7, you don't listen to it, you don't watch it, you don't read it, because you can do it anytime. I used to go to the library and it was open 9 till 5. That was the only time I could go. That was on a Saturday because I was working otherwise. But that was the only time I could go, was from 9 till 5, or after work 6 till 8. But I just wanted to go home and have my tea, But now, this tool that I'm talking to you on now, this amazing tool, I'm all over the place when in a day, because I can find it instantly. You Google it. This Google thing is absolutely incredible. You can find anything.
I think there's something about, and this is probably an idea in Kirby as well, but there's something about sitting down with a comic book or a book, and we talk about comics, say comic books. Mm-hmm. It's like a meditation. It's like a secular prayer in a way, because you're spending time with something, you're not doing anything else, you're screening out everything else, and you're letting the piece of art speak to you, and you're speaking to it, and then the combination of those two things makes the meaning of the piece of art for you or the comic book for you.
Yeah.
I found when I was watching TV or anything that I was always looking at my phone. So now when I read a comic book, when I'm doing my writing or I'm watching something, I just put all it out and I'm just focused on one channel of thing, because I just have to be comfortable with the one choice that I've made. I could be doing 100 things, but I just want to be comfortable with the one thing I'm doing. So I bring my whole self to it. Otherwise, I'm shortchanging the piece of art, the artist involved.
Well,
and I feel it's inauthentic. You know?
I've just discovered on YouTube Philip Dick's books audio.
Philip K. Dick?
Yeah.
Yeah,
on audio, and it just didn't cross my mind to ask it, and I just came across it, and I'm listening to The Man in the High Castle.
Oh, that's a great series on Amazon, by the way. It's really good.
But I've not got that. But I've got some of Philip Dick books.
I read the book.
I've not got that one, but I've heard of it and everything. I've not read it, but it's great just because I'm drawing. There's somebody's telling me a story.
Yeah, no,
and it's interesting. I don't have to think, and it's really great.
Yeah, you can do two things at once, but one informs the other, doesn't it? Because you're telling a story yourself, and then someone's telling you one at the same time. I think that's really good. You know.
So they're talking to you, Pops.
Dave, Trish talking to you again.
Me?
It's got to be that collection, man. It's got to be.
Talking. I think they're talking about the troll, aren't they? They're talking about the troll. The trolls.
Is that what they're talking about?
I'm just saying, Pops. I mean, it's we're talking about not being distracted and focused on that. Troll is pretty hot, so I'm having issues. I should focus on Glenn or Dave or something.
Now look, Trish made these.
Brilliant.
Trish made these little pins right here.
Oh yeah,
that's great. You should.
So she could be talking about the troll. You never know.
Yeah.
Do you sell those, or do you have any like merchandise that we could buy or something, or like wear, or I don't know, T-shirts?
Trish just sent these to me just recently, and I'm basically just going to give them away to people that help, that contribute, or whenever I'm giving away a book or something, I'm gonna throw one of these in there or whatever. But we do have Lee Reese designed shirt, which is also this art. Okay. That guy right there, and Lee Reese designed the CromCon shirt, and we are setting up a merch. I was trying to do all the Patreon thing last week, and it all just blew up in my face. So we'll get a merch thing set up somewhere. And when these ones run out, I will be buying some more of those from Trish, and we'll be making those available. And Lee Reese and Dale Robb, both in the group. Lee Reese is the one that did the CromCon video, and he also did the art of that little guy over there in the corner.
Oh, excellent. Lee
Reese did that too. And man, those guys have been great to me. So if I can sell shirts for them, with Crom on it, hey man, that's just another person I can help out. I'm not really worried about making money myself so much right now as helping people out. Once everything's back to normal and everybody's making money the way they were, then I might be like, throw me some. But right now, that's all voluntary. People that want to help me out, they do that voluntarily.
I was at a convention when I was like 25 or 26. I went to the States, and I went across. I looked at blues sites and comic book sites. I went to Haight-Ashbury to look at hippie sites. And when I got to New York, I went to the New York Comic Convention, 1992. I met my idol, Neil Adams, right?
Oh wow! Yeah.
But my sort of innocent artistic pursuit of him became sort of compromised when he said to me, I said to his agent, Neil, could you please sign this comic? And then the agent said, Neil doesn't sign any comics unless you buy an issue of Continuity Comics. And I was like, what? So I had to buy this Toy Boy, or this comic which wasn't very good, and I was like, all my illusions are being shattered. And I kept it. And then I took it up to him, and he went to his agent and said, "Did he buy that comic?" And he went, "Yes." And then he would sign the thing. Sometimes you have to buy merchandise to get what you want. I was like,
I just wish that I'd taken my entire collection to Kirby's house, because he didn't have a problem with any of that. He just signed them.
No,
all.
he would have just done it. He's old school, isn't he? He would have just done it.
Yeah.
So
he's just grateful that I'm reading it and I like them. And a friend of mine, when Stan Lee came over here, I think it was about 2014, and a friend of mine,
come over there. Okay.
A friend of mine bought me a ticket to go to it, to a special, audience with Stan Lee.
Ooh,
so
wow.
I thought, well, okay,
really?
Yeah. So anyway, it was just right at the top of the Marvel dispute, and I thought, well, I can't go to this. I can't go to this because for Jack, even though Jack's not here, I can't do it.
The estate was suing him at the time, wasn't it? Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. So I thought I can't do this. But anyway, I found out later that I returned the ticket. It was sold on and all that kind of thing. But I found out later that he was doing. I think it was charging 25 quid for a photograph and 25 quid per signature.
Oh, that's all right. I mean,
is that all right? I don't think that's all right.
I mean, in terms of like even at conventions in New Zealand, when animated stars come over, they're charging like $50, $100 for a signature, and I'm like, who are you?
Well, I can understand why they do it in terms of because they're probably thinking, well, if 5 minutes after I sign this, it's going to be on the internet and they're going to be making money on it. I understand that side of it, but I'd rather that they didn't sign then.
No, same. I'd rather they just did it. I mean,
say no.
The other experience that I had was
I'm a collector. Okay, I'm a collector, and I have different feelings about signed books. If I go somewhere and I'm going there with the purpose of getting somebody's signature, if I had to pay $5-10 for it, it's kind of why I went there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, when I'm talking about somebody like Mike Zeck or somebody big, okay, I'm talking about, I don't mind throwing a 5 and 10 spot at these guys. They got to pay their expenses. They set up these tables. They, they're there to make money. Okay, I don't mind throwing a little bit of money at them. If I'm digging books out of my box that aren't signed and taking them to them, and they are willing to sign them, I'm willing to give them a little something for doing that. With that being said, somebody I've never heard of on a Kickstarter that wants to charge me to sign a book that I haven't read. I don't know if your book's any good. I don't have it in hand. I don't know the quality. I don't know anything. And I've never heard of you. I probably won't pay to have you sign the book. Now, if you add that as a perk, that's just, if you want me to do it, I will. That's cool. Once people know you, the value of your signature will present itself. Okay.
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something fun. Yeah, you go. I'll tell you something funny. Like Glenn had just published a few of my articles in Comics Unlimited 5, and I'd been promoting them on various Jack Kirby Facebook sites. And this guy PM'd me and said, like, didn't know who he was. He was on one of the Jack Kirby sites. He said, "Can you sign a copy of Comics Unlimited?" And I was like, what? Like, who the hell am I? I'm just some guy who's written 3 articles in a magazine. I'm not famous. But he's obviously someone, like, whenever he bought something, he'd get something signed. And I said, look, I'd be happy to do it, but I have to say that I live at the bottom of the world in New Zealand. And he went, oh. Because he was thinking he could just, like, go along to Las Vegas and I'd be there and I'd be like signing them for him, and Glenn would be there and now we'd be all signing it and stuff like this.
Well, if I sell my collection, maybe we'll all be able to do that.
Yeah, but I think people, as you say, people have an expectation, and sometimes, like when Roy Thomas came to Wellington, New Zealand, about 10 years ago, and no one knew who the hell he was except for us, old comic collectors. All the people who came just didn't know who he was, and he was at a little table. And hardly anyone was going up to him. So me and a friend, Craig, went up to him because we loved his comics and we collected them. And he just signed everything for nothing because we were like 2 of the 12 people that came up to us.
It's because he knew that nobody knew who he was. They weren't going to be able to sell it later.
This is the irony of it. Like all these guys whose plots and stories make up all the Marvel movies, because none of the plots and stories in the Marvel movies are original. They're all amalgams or combinations of comics.
Yeah.
The public who go, the millions of people who watch the movies, have no idea who did them.
No.
But they think all these stories are new, but they don't come and collect comics. They're completely ignorant of it. You know, that's
I'll tell you what's ignorant. I went into in Manchester where I live. There's a couple of art galleries, and we go into before COVID we used to go in regularly, and it's the fine art, and there was one of these shops we were walking towards it, and I said, "Look at this," and you know that Hulk cover where Steranko draws him holding up the logo.
Oh, yeah. 113, yeah.
Right. Well, down the side it says quite clearly Steranko.
Yeah.
And there were these giant, big as your door posters of covers. One was Jack Kirby, Captain America. There was that Hulk one by Steranko, and there was a John Buscema Thor, and there was different ones, and they all had Stan Lee written on. And they'd even taken the Steranko name off because Kirby didn't sign those early ones. Yeah. Do you see what I mean? And that's why everybody thinks Stan Lee drew them all, thinks he created them all, and he didn't. He didn't. No. He co-created at best, and that's being generous.
Yeah,
but that's like Walt Disney. Everybody thinks Walt Disney drew Snow White, and he didn't. Walt Disney didn't know what a pencil was. He was a businessman. A very good one. But
yeah. No, I after I read Jack Kirby Collector 75 stuff said, and they've got everything that Kirby said, everything that Lee said. I came to the conclusion that yes, Lee oversold himself. Lee was a dialogue man, and he didn't really script or write these things, and he, as you say, co-created at best and so on. But it's like on the other side of it, there would be no Marvel Comics without the ringmaster, without the guy who sold, without the guy who marketed.
Yeah,
it's just
the
creative engine of it were the artists, because they not only drew it, they also did the stories, and they did half the dialogue as well.
Yeah, that's the point.
It's the combination, isn't it?
I don't know anybody who is saying Stan Lee didn't do anything, but he didn't do what he said he did.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because if you look at the Fantastic Four, it's the challenges of the unknown, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
four people go into space and come back different.
Yeah, that's it.
And have arguments. That's the basic premise. Well, who created that?
Kirby.
Yeah. Nothing to do with Stanley because it was at DC.
I think some people, and I know a few people like this, they are drawn into the Marvel mystique, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they're drawn into it so much that when you put these arguments to it, when you show the evidence, the historical evidence about who did what, they just don't accept it. They don't want to believe it because they want to believe in the myth of Stan Lee. They want to think that one man can do all these things, but of course it's physically impossible to even write that much stuff. And so they become quite hostile when you try to have a rational conversation with them about it.
Yeah. Well, he was a marketing genius, but he wasn't necessarily a creative genius.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
Let me correct you there, Michael. You said that one person couldn't do it. Well, one person was doing it, and that was Kirby.
Yeah. He was.
No matter what, you guys understand this, and especially people that are putting out Kickstarter projects today understand this. That promoting it and marketing it.
Oh my God.
Is so important.
Huge.
Okay,
Absolutely.
now you realize what Stan did for Marvel. It ain't that he was the creative genius; he was the marketing genius. Putting himself in cameos in the movies all those years later. Look, come on, it was all marketing. It's marketing.
Yeah, but nobody disputes that, and that's not the argument. The argument is who created it, and Kirby created it, and Steve Ditko.
Stan wasn't the creative genius, but he was the marketing genius.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't know that. People think it was all Stan Lee, and it wasn't. Of course, he played his part, and he was brilliant. He was brilliant, but he didn't.
Have you guys read the new book? I haven't got it yet. Abraham Reisman, the guy who's kind of outside comic culture, who's like, I don't know, a writer for the New York Times or something. He's written a new book on Stan Lee and kind of come at things from a slightly different perspective. People are academics and comic book press are kind of rating it. I don't know the title of
seen
it.
that.
Abraham
Well,
Reisman,
I think I've seen it, but I haven't read it or got it.
Me either. I haven't got it. Yeah, if I'm committed to this Kirby stuff, I need to read as much as I can, I guess. But it comes to similar conclusions. That the guy I wrote to a guy, Charles Hatfield, who writes for the Comics Journal. He's a professor of English and stuff, and he wrote a really good review of it. I'll see if I can post it somewhere. But he said that they didn't find more primary evidence, but the perspective was really interesting, and I think it kind of dovetails with what we're saying. But it seems to have some new perspectives in it. So
if you want evidence, as far as I'm concerned, if you want evidence, all you've got to do is draw a timeline from 1940 to 1970, and see who was doing what in that time, and you'll see that Stan Lee suddenly appears in 1961. And disappears in 1970 when Kirby went to DC.
That's it. Yeah.
So Kirby's doing. Kirby had done Captain America before Stan Lee did anything. Stan Lee was the coffee boy, wasn't he? And there was that. Yeah, there's that poster from the '60s of the Captain America movie from that time that says by the comic strip created by Stan Lee, and Jack Kirby had that stopped. And Stan Lee said it was a mistake. What a mistake! It didn't say created by Steve Ditko or me.
It's sort of like I mean, we're all human, we're all flawed and stuff. And I think with Stan Lee, it's sort of like it's how fame operates on you. You know, like you're a normal average person.
He's the Hugh Hefner of comics, man. Shit just took control of it.
Yeah, that's right. He's been laboring away in his uncle's company for years and years, getting no recognition, and suddenly he lucks out, and this thing happens, and he then he discovers he's got this great marketing ability, and he's a great media spokesperson, and he suddenly becomes the Stan Lee persona as opposed to the Stan Lee person.
Yeah,
and suddenly he gets swept away with that, and I don't know. I feel it would take a great effort of will for that not to happen to me or you or whatever. So I have some sympathy for him, but I think at the end of the day, I really feel it was a major deficiency for him at many, many points not to point out who did what and to share the love and share the money and all that sort of stuff. I think that was a moral failing on his part, but I can also see the human side and think, you know, it's like, don't take the speck out of your own eye before you remove the mite from someone else's, from the Bible or whatever. It's like, how would I have been swept up in that? You know, would I have been swept up in that fame? Possibly I would have, and then you'd have to drag yourself back, you know? I don't know. I think you have to, human,
I know what you're saying, but I think you'd have to be halfway there to start with.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I don't think it would. I would probably pull myself back, but I could just, the attraction of it.
You see, what I would have done is I wouldn't have even put Jack Kirby's name on it.
Yeah. Okay.
Nobody would have heard of him.
Yeah. If you're really mercenary,
it would have said written, drawn, lettered, and coloured by Glenn Fleming.
What is this?
What is that?
Here goes Dave again.
This is the wide. Wow. This is the widescreen version that British Marvel did for a bit.
Yeah.
Is that an actual comic book, or I've never seen that?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Reprints. Yeah.
Is that wildly black and white? Yeah, okay. Is that I've never seen the widescreen version. Is that while the original Spider-Mans were coming out in the UK, was that instead of it?
This is the 70s.
Yeah, I was going to say it was instead of it actually, because they did them that way around instead of that way around. So that was the new way. So you got double. Yeah. You got double the story. Well, various stories actually. So there's another page there for you.
Wow,
yeah. Wow. Yeah.
So the sort of early essentials, aren't they, in a way?
Yeah. So it was like two pages side by side. Yeah, like that.
That's fantastic, isn't
it? Yeah, you know, sometimes even though you missed out on the originals, like, you know, say this, for example.
Yeah.
Sometimes actually, hold on, just see if I can find a page. you know, sometimes like seeing Adam's work in black and white is actually more powerful and better than seeing it in color, because it's like seeing the Virgin pencils or something, you know. Like, so we missed out, and those Katie Murray stories are reprinted in random order, then they don't appear at all. They print the last part first. It was kind of a disaster for a reader, but you got something just like that you wouldn't have gotten in American comics, which is strange and weird at the same time.
They did that with the Rise and Fall of the Trigon Empire. Have you seen that?
Oh no, I haven't.
Have you heard of it?
Oh, yes, sorry, Trigon Empire. Yeah, Don Lawrence. Yeah, I've got it.
Right.
I've got it.
Well, I've got. There's been several reprints of the volumes, and I've got one, and they've left panels out and they've moved them around, and you get a page that's got an entire panel missing from it. So you got this page with, you know, with a grid, and then there's the pictures missing at the end. I think it's what is anybody around there, Pops? It's what they call a fuck up. So I don't know whether they've reprinted a new volume with the entire thing in. Dave might know that. Have they reprinted Trigon Empire, Dave, recently?
Yeah, they have.
In the right order and all that.
I believe so. I was just trying to find. I've got the first couple of volumes, but I can't just see them at the minute.
Right.
But I do have them. You know, they've just reprinted them recently. Yeah.
Are they good? Are they full ones without the panels missing?
Yeah, they seem to be. Yeah, this is another original artwork I've got.
Look at that, Gene Colan. Wow.
Yeah.
Is that his original piece?
Yeah, it's the original artwork on the inside. Yeah.
Wow.
Is it full size artwork?
It is. I'm gonna turn it around for you.
Look at that.
Is it like one of those artists' editions, or
it is? Yeah.
I love that series. Tomb and Dracula, Master Kung Fu are probably like the two most adult 1970s Marvel series. I mean, I really like both of them, and also I think Steve Gerber's Man Thing also qualifies just because they were kind of a level above what other stuff.
I've never read one of those Dracula issues. You know, never read them.
Oh, you should. Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, they're brilliant.
They're really good.
I was going to get the essentials, but apparently they don't. They're quite rare now. Look at that! Wow.
Even the reprint volumes are kind of becoming more expensive, which is just I don't get that either. It's a reprint. Come on, don't charge me more for it.
Yeah. Right. How much was that, Dave? About 70 quid.
Yeah, it was about. Yeah.
Wow.
Should we just leave Dave like that for the rest of the show while he
yeah.
Remember that, Glenn? I've still got my ticket. I've still got my ticket.
Fantastic.
What is that?
That's from the premiere of my Kirby film that Dave attended.
Okay, because I've seen that, haven't I? You sent that to me.
Yeah, I'm working on I finished actually. I'm about to put out the final cut.
Okay, but get
with extra stuff in and all that. But that's not to be announced yet.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm also. I'll tell you. I'm also producing a Kirby book to go with it.
Oh yes. Yep, that's right.
So
just
look
keep
out
pulling
for that
stuff out, Dave, or we're gonna pull you down, dude. Just keep pulling stuff out. You got 15 more minutes to impress the masses.
Oh, Warrior!
Warrior. I love those.
Number one.
I've only got a couple of them, but
I've got a full set of these.
Wow. Yeah. Who are you leaving all this stuff to, Dave? Have you got any cousins and nephews and?
No.
So you're obviously leaving it to me.
No.
What we'll do it.
I'm gonna trace my roots. I'm gonna find a connection to Dave. You watch.
V for Vendetta. There you go.
Yeah.
And that was another pin-up page there.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah. I think we just move into Dave's house and just don't leave.
Yeah. Yeah. Kick him out and we'll just sit there and drool over these comics.
Exactly. Just won't leave.
I'll just Hey, I'll pitch a tent outside. I don't care. I'll just come in to go through the books. I'll stay out of his hair the rest of the time.
I'm just going to see if I can find something else of interest for you chaps.
Hey, Dave, I'm just saying when we come over to live at your house, we're going to bring our own food. I'm just saying.
Oh no, you get fed. It's great when you go to Dave's house. You get fed,
and we'll help out with the internet bill and the TV subs and stuff like that.
But we'll have to do CromCon from the basement.
Yeah, that'd be good, wouldn't it? Yeah. CromCon from Dave's bunker.
There you go.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, what is that? What's that?
It's an old fanzine from a convention back in 1984 that I attended.
Wow, that's a really well-produced fanzine. Look at the cover of that.
It's the, there you go.
Look at that.
Is that like a TV21 type sort of homage? Is it?
It was just like, for
iconography and
autographs on the back page, which I haven't got any on that page. But,
I get to do that.
I think I see an autograph by Glenn Fleming there.
I get to do that now. Do that now. Look at this. Look where this is from, boys. Look where this is from.
What's he got there?
London.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Very nice.
Wow.
I got that from a friend of mine, John Goldsberry, that lives over there. I collect Comic-Con programs as well. I have, a pretty large collection of them. And he sent me that, man, when I first told everybody that I collected con programs. He was like, right away, man, it was in the mail. I was like, dude, I didn't know you. I wasn't like fishing for people to send me con programs, but man, I started getting them in the mail. Boom, boom, boom. I got a huge collection now.
Back in 1986, I had one of the most embarrassing times of my life at the London convention. I was drawing a comic called Forest, and I went down to see the editor who had a stall at the convention with the latest artwork I'd done. And I went down to London to give it to him. And he said when I was there, he was looking through it, and he said, I just got to go to the loo. Can you just man the table? So I said, yeah. So I'm standing there and selling these comics for him and all this kind of thing. And this guy came along with his little lad. And his lad was about 9, and he's this bloke. Oh wow! Look at that. That's lovely, isn't it? Look at that. Yeah. That's lovely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, signed by Billy Tushy. Oh yeah.
So this. Sorry, go on.
Hold on. That was the inspiration for me drawing that.
Wow.
Oh, great.
Yeah. One of the few things I've drawn, but yeah, I love that. I love this thing, man. That's beautiful.
What have we got now? Oh, look at that.
Oh, that's another Fan Anderson, is it?
Yes.
Fanderson, yeah.
Yeah.
Anderson.
Wow.
Anderson 91 there. With some autographs this time before you.
Oh,
okay. You got
that's more like it.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That's fantastic.
That's really good. Yeah.
That's great. Wow.
And some more in this one. I've got 2 copies. Got a few more in that one as well there.
Ooh.
Wow.
Okay, this is the last one I'm going to show off today. Dave's going to make me look bad, but this is a more recent.
He's making us all look bad. I mean, don't worry about it.
Of autographs, we got Eastman, we got Polito, we got Jason Jensen. Oh, let's see who else is on there. Murat. Murat. I can't remember his last name, but we got Monty Michael Moore down there in the corner. There's everybody's autograph on there. It's pretty cool, man.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Denver Comic Con, yeah. 2014 or 2015, I can't remember.
That's where My High Comics is, isn't it? Denver.
Dude, I love those things, man. I have a friend of mine, Joe Dunn, that sent me one from, I think it's Michigan, from the big one up in Detroit, and it's got like 30 autographs inside. I don't even know who all they are. I was tripping out.
Wow.
Yeah, like that. But not that cool. But like that. No, they're all on the inside, man. I got them all on the inside.
Well, these are all on the outside because I went to a Babylon 5 convention in Blackpool about 20 plus years ago, and I got most of the cast to autograph the front cover of Babylon 5 #1 by DC.
Wow. You get Katsoulas and all those people.
Yeah, there was just a couple that I didn't get. I'm not sure which ones I've got, but I've got Bruce Boxleitner's ones there, I think.
Yeah. And what's the other guy called who died? Jerry
Hoyle, was it?
Yes. Was it Jerry Hoyle? Yeah.
I think it might have been. I'm not too sure.
And the other guy died as well, didn't he? The guy who was like Napoleon.
He did. That's right. That's right. So.
Oh, and she just, is it Delaine? She just died, didn't she?
She did. Yeah, she died.
Did you get all those autographs?
Yeah, I can't read the writing on some of them, to be honest, so I'm not too sure. But I got most of them, and then this is another old comic that
I remember that.
Oh,
remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 1982. That one came out.
That Thunderbird 2 drawing was on the cover of an annual, wasn't it? In the 60s.
I'm not sure. It might have been.
It was a Frank Bellamy drawing. That might be wrong. That's not Frank Bellamy, is it?
No, I don't think it is. I'm not sure who the artist is, to be honest, on that one. But that is the inside front page there.
Yeah, it's great, and it's fantastic stuff.
And
Absolutely brilliant.
And that's the back cover.
Right.
Way too much cool stuff, guys. Way too much cool stuff.
Yeah, and these kids are missing out looking at watching X Factor, aren't they?
Well, I want to give you guys a little bit of time to tell everybody where they can find you, and then I'm going to go eat dinner because I still got to do a show again in an hour and a half. So.
Right, okay. Time to bed. Right, well, you can get me all my stuff on Amazon. I'm on Facebook, and you can email me if you want to for some reason. Comics Unlimited Magazine at gmail.com. Well, all my stuff, my books and things are mostly on Amazon, so you could buy them all there.
Cool.
Including Comics, including Comics Unlimited is on there as well.
Yes. Michael, where can they find you, sir?
Yeah. So I've got my blog at occasionalmurmurings.blogspot.com, and I'm in Glenn's magazine, Comics Unlimited, writing some more articles now because the deadline's coming.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at basically. Occasional Murmurings and Comics Unlimited. Yeah.
Dave, you're in CromCon. We know where to find you.
Yeah, you know where to find me. Yeah, I mean, I'm on Facebook. So most people can find me on there under Texas Dave, I think, or there, something like that.
All right.
Yeah.
I also want to say all these people can be found in the Comic Related Madness on Facebook. So if you're having a hard time finding them, you just hit the member list in there and you can find them if you look. That's where they're at. That's where I'm at. I'm going to go back to maybe doing a little bit more scheduling on CromCon. I think there's only like 10 or 11 spots left. So if you want to be part of CromCon at the end of June, I wouldn't wait, because by the time I wake up tomorrow morning, I'm going to be popping up a full event post. That's how it always works. So, get your spot now. Don't be waiting. That's how it works.
Okay.
I'll be back out here later with Biz Chozo, with Michael Max Hamgatti, and we're going to close out Cindy Kep's Animalize tonight at 9:30 p.m. right here on Comic Talk with Pops on the Monday Madness. And with that, guys, y'all have a great evening.
You too, Pops. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
See you
guys have a great night.
Thanks for the invite. Catch you, mate.
Yeah, you guys have a great night, and you have a great tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We certainly will.
See you later, fellas.
Yeah.
Nice to talk to you.
Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for coming out. Seriously.
You're welcome. Bye for now.
Peace.
Come